So I'd like to introduce you to the immodestly named Schechter's equation for life, which is satisfaction equals reality minus expectations. And the idea there is that the field of health and wellness is so very, very broad that if we are going to really do a good job in managing expectations and helping you come out of today's satisfied, I want to help you understand a little bit about what we're going to try to accomplish today and what we're not going to be able to accomplish. And so what we're going to try to do, to state the obvious, there's just a whole ton of stuff in the field of health and wellness. And I'd like to share a story that Rich Shugden shared with me, and I'm sure he shared it with many of you, but he said that in his early years working at St. John's, he went down to Pinedale because the people in Pinedale were looking at opening a clinic and affiliating with St. John's. And so Rich went down there, and he got into a conversation with a rancher. And the rancher was really opposed to St. John's opening a clinic, and there was no clinic down in Pinedale at all at the time. And, you know, well, why? He goes, well, I moved to Wyoming because I have a big ranch, and if I'm out riding my horse or something happens, wherever I am, and something happens to me and I can't rescue myself, I don't want you to fix me. That's why I live in Wyoming, and that's why I don't want your clinic. And so the point is that within our community, within this region, we have people who absolutely despair of any medical care, and then we have other people who can jump on a plane and fly to the Mayo or wherever they want to for their care. And so you've got this huge range of issues around health and wellness, and we can't cover it all today. And there are going to be some of you who go, wait, what about this? What about that? What about the other thing? And I want to acknowledge and honor that there are a variety of views and there are a variety of different ways of looking at it, but we're not going to be able to hit on all of it. So I just want to get that out there. So the question is, where do we start? And I'd just like to talk about what I sort of see as a traditional view of healthcare. You've got mainstream versus alternative, and then you've got extreme illness to extreme wellness. And traditionally, the way we've thought about healthcare is that a hospital sort of deals up in that corner around mainstream and extreme illness, and then alternative care is mind-body connection, and that's everything from yoga to alternative health theory to massage and the whole thing. But what's happened over the last many years is that that mind-body connection, these sort of alternative things are starting to morph, and we're dealing with illness in a different way, and it's becoming much more mainstream. At the same time, an interesting thing is happening, particularly here in Jackson Hole, where the idea of what a hospital should do and can do and should provide is expanding as well. And these shapes are overlapping and they're morphing, and the point is that we're really in this point of tremendous change. We only have 5 hours today, and we have to start somewhere. And so when you're dealing with rapid change, the big questions from a strategic planning perspective are, well, you know, where are we going, where do we want to be? The focus today is really, where are we? What can we do to start putting our arms around this big amorphous blob? And we're really going to focus, the speakers today are really going to focus on hospital-based stuff. And I mentioned that to just give you a set of expectations, but also because, again, it's really complex. We need to start somewhere. In rural communities in particular, and you'll hear from the speakers about the really important central role in a lot of health and wellness hospitals play. And we're also going through a lot of rapid changes as in the community. Healthcare is going through a lot of rapid changes, and a lot of them are playing out around the medical center. So for all those reasons, we're going to look a lot at hospitals. And I just want to talk a little bit from an economic perspective about these rapid changes, because I think they kind of will affect a lot of the thinking that we do and how a lot of these things are playing out. What we have here is 5 quintiles. So this is how much money the average, the yellow bars are how much money the lowest 20% of households in Teton County made in 2007. So the lowest 20% averaged about $25,000. It really didn't grow much between 2007 and 2013. The second quintile, the people making in the 20 to 40%, they were making, about $45,000, and their income really didn't grow. In the third quintile, they were making about $60,000. The fourth quintile, and this is the top 20% of all Teton County. And you can see how much their income grew in just those 6 years. And then this last set of bars is the top 5% of all earners in Teton County. In 2007, the average household was making $375,000. In 2013, the average household was making north of $500,000. And so this is just one way of capturing some of these dynamics. And it's not just Teton County where this is changing. This is the same dots you saw a minute ago, just how income levels are changing with different quintiles. This is compared to the United States. So the point is that our not so wealthy people are suffering in comparison to where the US is, and our well-to-do are doing much better. We've got this rapidly changing, rapidly bifurcating community around which all of health and wellness has got to occur. And I looked at another really wealthy place. Our well-to-do are actually doing even much better than the well-to-do in New York City in terms of income growth. Health and wellness encompasses all these different people, so how are we going to get our arms around it? And so how are we going to do it? What we're going to do is we're going to start off, Brian Gragniotti, Brian Gragniotti, I'm sorry, I got it right all these times before. Brian Gragniotti is the Senior Vice President of the Johns Hopkins Medical System and a board member of the American Hospital Association. And he's going to talk about the national view. Lou Hochheiser and Mike Tennekin, the CEO and the chair of the board of St. John's, are going to talk about a regional view. And then finally, there's going to be a Q&A period. And then Julia Heemstra and Sarah Salo from St. John's are going to give you this little brief look at the community health needs assessment. But then the really critical thing is the last couple of hours. And this is where you come in. And what we're going to ask you to do inside your program, there's a sheet that is the roundtable questions. And so when we get to the end of all the speeches, we are going to have a 45-minute break. We're going to ask you to fill out that sheet, get lunch, take a break, return phone calls, use the restroom, what have you. The restrooms are out back if you want to use them in between. But what we want you to do is this is how we're going to tap into the collective knowledge in the room. We're going to ask you guys to take a look at all these different aspects of what you do, and we're going to start talking about what an ideal healthcare system might look like in this community. What are all the different aspects? And we're going to feed that up into the roundtables and let the roundtables talk about that and then report out. And our promise to you is to get you out of here by 1:30. So as a result of that, even though I'm a horribly conflict-averse person, I'm going to have to be the real taskmaster here and keep everybody on schedule. And so that applies to the speakers, it applies to the roundtables, and we're going to have a very tight schedule. So with that, I'm going to get on with it. And our first speaker is Brian Gragniotti. Got it right? Huh? And I just have to do a quick little thing on the computer, and then he's going to talk. Brian?